Nelson Peltz and Bob Iger are locked in a fight for the soul of the Walt Disney Company board of directors. There's another activist firm that is trying to get on the board, and they are being ignored, and they will be ignored no longer, and they're taking legal action. Let's talk about that on That Park Place. Hello, I am Jonas J. Campbell, a gleeful investigative reporter full of sunshine and rainbows today. I'm here with another happy, content, felicitous individual, that being Culture Casino, and also with him is the Oscar the Grouch of That Park Place, Mr. Vash Sky. Look at him, look at him. Guys, we have got an interesting story today. I did not expect this in the lead up to the Walt Disney Company annual shareholders meeting, which, by the way, you should check out over on Valiant Renegade. They'll be doing a live stream. I believe I'll be there, and we will be covering what looks like will be the battle of the century. According to some sources, Peltz might be winning in his fight for a board seat. You guys doing all right?
Oh, yeah.
Doing okay, that's for sure. But man, the Walt Disney Company, they just can't get a break, right? If they're settling something not in favorable terms, they're getting sued. Go ahead, Culture.
I think this month alone, Vash, I think this month alone they had 5 major lawsuits that got smashed in their face.
Yep. One settled and 4 more pop up. It's like the universe is a hydra of truth trying to punish them. So far, most of these lawsuits seem like they're going to be going somewhere. This one right here, somebody with a small amount of shares is suing the Walt Disney Company, and I think they want answers. Disney investor Blackwells Capital sues the company as shareholder vote nears close. Media giant calls allegations baseless and desperate. This by Dade Hayes of Deadline. Activist investor Blackwells Capital, that would be Jason Eintabi, is suing the media giant over what it sees as an inappropriately cozy relationship with another shareholder, Value Act Capital. In the lawsuit filed Thursday in Delaware Chancery Court, there's Delaware, Blackwells lays out concerns about whether Value Act Capital has been paid for a pro-Disney position in a brewing proxy fight with activists. Blackwells and Triumph Fund Management have agitated for fresh voices on Disney's board of directors ahead of Wednesday's annual shareholder meeting, when ballots in board elections officially will be tallied. The lawsuit requests books and records in order to determine whether wrongdoing, mismanagement, or breaches of fiduciary duty, including potential violations of disclosure obligations under the federal securities laws, have taken place. Blackwells also maintains that Value Act managed Disney's pension funds from 2013 to 2023, a fact that Disney neglected to disclose when proclaiming Value Act support. Before we get into this, because there's a lot of allegeds in here, what do we know for sure on this?
Well, as CNBC is reporting that Value Act managed more than $355 million in Disney pension funds prior to backing the company in a proxy fight with Nelson Peltz's Trium partners, a rival activist has said. So apparently that's Blackwell's claim here that they're necessarily suggesting.
So no one is contesting the fact that Value Act has been a pension manager for the Walt Disney Company in the past.
Doesn't think so. Yeah, that doesn't look like it. It just, I think the question is just size at this point.
I think and it's also carefully worded.
Right.
Yes, it is. No one is also going to contend the fact that Disney did neglect to disclose that when proclaiming Value Act support. Value Act has been very supportive of the Walt Disney Company, and they entered into an information sharing agreement about the time that Nelson Peltz said that he wasn't allowed on the board, and they did offer some kind of information sharing role. I don't think that was what Peltz is after. I don't think strategically that's the best way for him to manage his or Ike Perlmutter's investments in the Walt Disney Company. Let's look a little bit more before we...
Moreover, just one last point. Blackwell's raised questions about Disney's relationship with Mason Morfett's Value Act. See the name be used there, suggesting that the company has heralded Morfett's support but not been fully transparent about Value Act's financial benefit from the company. This relationship necessarily, at least what Blackwell's is saying right here, goes deeper right here, and so that's also one of these. Maybe there's a conflict of interest here a little bit.
Right.
Maybe
he's Let's talk about Mason Morfett specifically for just a moment. Some facts about Mason Morfett. First of all, he's married to the unfathomably lovely Jordana Brewster from the Fast and Furious movies. And that is all I'm going to say on that specific matter. But they live in Brentwood. Who else lives in Brentwood? Bob
Bob
Iger.
Iger.
No.
So close proximity. And we know from the CNBC expose on CEO succession issues at the Walt Disney Company that Bob Iger likes to take walks with people in that Brentwood area, and some management of the company, including the alleged orchestration of his return, happened on one of those walks as well. So walking, talking all the time. Him and Mason Morfitt just holding hands together. You could speculate. I don't know. I don't think they're holding hands. But anyways, Mason Morfitt also is a fan of subscription as software as a service, taking something that exists for free or for a specific price and locking it behind a paywall where you have to pay for it on a regular basis. That's been the MO at Adobe. If you're familiar with Adobe Creative Cloud or Office 365, the subscription Office, you no longer just buy Excel or Word and then move on, and they, for some reason, think that words work differently and have to do updates to the software. Now you have to have a subscription to it. Also, Mason Morfitt came in to say, I'm an activist investor. What is his active opinion of the Walt Disney Company? Bob Iger is doing a great job. Doesn't sound very active to me. But,
well, apparently ValueAct has collected a cumulative $95 million in fees from Disney since 2014. So yeah, it's I can see why you would fully support Bob Iger in his decision making.
Yep. So go ahead, Culture.
No, I mean, look, that's not a small amount of money. $355 million. I think you have plenty of incentive to keep everything that's going at Disney the way it's going at Disney because it benefits you the most.
That's very true. Now, I want to point out a couple of things here. Disney did respond. A Disney spokesperson called the suit's claims baseless and described the complaint as merely the desperate attempt to gain attention for their slate of director candidates. So they have called Nelson Peltz and Jay Rasulo oblivious, inane, and dangerous, and now they're calling Jason Aintabi desperate. So it appears that professionalism is out the window here. They might be more accurate with the claim here. That's my judgment call, not the opinion of that Park Place in particular. The spokesman went on to assert no Disney pension plan funds are currently invested with ValueAct, nor were they managing any Disney pension plan funds at the time of their entering into an information sharing agreement with the company. Prior to Blackwells filing this litigation, Disney offered to meet with them and provide documentation confirming those facts, but Blackwells declined the meeting. So there's two items that I want to add here. Why a lawsuit instead of a meeting from Blackwell's perspective? Does anyone want to speculate on that?
Probably because Disney won't host a meeting with them. Apparently, Nelson Peltz has had that problem for years now. They won't take his calls.
Well, they certainly won't do it fast enough to have any effect on this vote that's happening, that we're talking about here for leadership. And yeah, I mean, look, if ValueAct collected cumulatively $95 million in fees from Disney since 2014, leading up to when they stopped managing pension. See, this was all carefully worded. Everything that was there. This is one of those wonderful articles that you can see the corporate speak, the sneaky lawyer words, and the squirreling away of facts. But Disney did have pension funds managed by ValueAct, so it's $355 million's worth, and then they stopped, and then all of a sudden they have a information sharing agreement. So yeah, A follows B. Exactly what Vash is showing there.
The question there that I have, and I haven't even answered my own question, that I'll tell you what I think the answer is on that in just a moment. There's no clear statement that ValueAct will not be managing pensions for them in the future after this proxy fight is over.
That's a fair point.
There's no statement on the promise of future activity here as a pension manager and whether or not they would want to manage the pensions of Walt Disney Company employees going forward after this. Now, I'm not saying that is what is happening here. I just noticed that there's a lack of statement about that. And you can come to your own conclusions. I'm not trying to lead you there. I'm just saying there's a bit of skepticism on my part because that information is lacking. Also, there is no statement about whether there was a non-disclosure agreement that was offered up. If you want this information, you cannot disclose it publicly. Another item is if Blackwells is suing, and this is the item I was pushing towards. If Blackwells is suing, that would be subject to discovery if it goes to the lawsuit phase. Whereas otherwise, they would be taking Disney's word for it, that there was no untoward activity between ValueAct and the Walt Disney Company. But that is just speculation, of course, or you could say it's opinion. Here we are, just asking questions, as it were. But that being said, we want to throw this to our audience here. What are your thoughts on what's going on between Value Act Capital? Have you seen any pictures of Mason Morfitt? If you see a picture of Mason Morfitt, Jordana Brewster is probably going to be in it as well, because she classes up the joint, I guess, as far as Mason's presentational fortitude there. Like this video, though, if it's been helpful to you in any way, if you'd like to know more about this fight between Blackwells and Value Act, and of course, consider subscribing to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.